For the hearing, Mrs. McMonigal, we have a quorum. Please start. Read the title of the first bill.
Bill number 160131, an ordinance authorizing the installation of an all-way stop sign at the intersection of 22nd Street and Porter Street. Oh, I'm sorry, that's being held.
That's being held. Thank you.
Bill number 160147, an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of Pine Street and 45th Street, Melville Street, and Locust Street.
Good morning. Just state your name again for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Good morning, Council. My name is Dion Bracely, Deputy Manager for the Philadelphia Parking Authority. Thank you for allowing me to testify before Council regarding Ordinance 160147, establishing parking regulations. The Philadelphia Parking Authority has no objection to the ordinance previously read before Council and recommends favorable consideration. Thank you again.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions? Seeing none, is there anyone else here to testify on bill number 160147? Seeing none, Ms. McGonigal, please read the title of the next bill.
Bill number 160097, an ordinance amending section 9-213 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Farmers Markets by adding a permissible location all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you. Just state your name again for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Good morning, Chairman Squilla and members of the Committee on Streets and Services. My name is Rebecca Swanson. I am the Planning Director for the Department of Licenses and Inspections. I'm here to provide testimony on Bill number 160097, which, if enacted, will amend Section 9213 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Farmers Markets. The bill would make the sidewalk and adjoining curb lane of the north side of Ann Street from Mercer Street to Almond Street a permissible location for a farmer's market. The department has no objection to this bill and is prepared to enforce its provisions shall it become law. Thank you for the opportunity to provide the department's testimony.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing none, anyone else here to testify on bill number 160097? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Mr. McMonigal, please read the title of the next bill.
Bill number 160145, an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan number 44 by placing on the City Plan 37th Street from Market Street to Filbert Street, and from Filbert Street to Warren Street, Cuthbert Street from 37th Street to 38th Street, north of Filbert Street, and Warren Street from 37th Street to 38th Street, all under certain terms and conditions, including the dedication to the city of the said beds of 37th Street, Cuthbert Street, and Warren Street.
Whoever wants to start first, just start with your name and then proceed with your testimony.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Frank Morelli, Survey Bureau Manager for the Department of Streets, and with me is Sarah Chu, City Planner with the Philadelphia City Planning Commission. We are here to testify in support of Bill number 160145, which was introduced by Councilwoman Blackwell on February 25th, 2016. This is not an administration ordinance, but an ordinance requested by Mr. Tim Bowles of Bowles Smythe Associates on behalf of Wexford Development, LLC. The purpose of this ordinance is to authorize the placing on the city plan of 37th Street from Market Street to Filbert Street and from Filbert Street to Warren Street, Cuthbert Street from 37th Street to 38th Street, and Warren Street from 37th Street to 38th Street. The purpose of this action is to permit the redevelopment of the 14 acres of former University City High School and Charles R. Drew Elementary School sites, which were acquired by Drexel University from Philadelphia School District. Wexford Science and Technology, University City Science Center, and Drexel University are proposing a large-scale mixed-use development, including commercial, office, laboratory, residential, and academic uses with a total of 2.7 million square feet. The zoning remapping bill for this proposal, Bill number 140437, was recommended for approval on June 10th, 2014 by the City Planning Commission. Therefore, at its meeting on March 15th, 2016, the Planning Commission recommended this bill for approval as an item in accord with previous policy. This bill is supported by the Department of Streets and City Planning and is recommended to your committee for favorable action. We are available for any comments that you may have.
Oh, I don't have additional testimony.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any questions? Seeing none, is there anyone else here to testify on Bill number 160145? Thank you, Mr. McMonagle. Please read the title of the next bill.
Bill number 160146, an ordinance authorizing the paving of 37th Street from Market Street to Filbert Street and from Filbert Street to Warren Street, Cuthbert Street from 37th Street to 38th Street, and Warren Street from 37th Street to 38th Street under certain terms and conditions.
The Department of Streets would like to offer the following testimony on Bill number 160146. This is not an administration ordinance, but an ordinance requested by Mr. Tim Bowles, representing Wexford Development, LLC. The purpose of this ordinance is to authorize the paving of 37th Street from Market Street to Filbert Street and from Filbert Street to Warren Street, Cuthbert Street from 37th Street to 38th Street, and Warren Street from 37th Street to 38th Street. These new streets will extend through the former University City High School site. This proposed work is part of the redevelopment of the site and adjacent property fronting on Market Street, which will ultimately consist of 3.1 million square feet of office, laboratory, residential, commercial, academic, and retail uses. This ordinance is supported by the Department of Streets and is recommended to your committee for favorable action.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, anyone else here to testify on Bill number 160146?
4746.
Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. McMonagle. Please read the title of the next bill.
Bill number 160148, an ordinance authorizing Rachel Miller of Best Partners LP to install, own, and maintain an open-air sidewalk cafe at 4301 Baltimore Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19104, under certain terms and conditions.
Good morning, Chairman Squilla and members of the Streets and Services Committee. My name is St. Warren Torrance. I'm the Director of Legislative Affairs for the Department of Streets. I'm here to offer testimony on Bill number 160148 as amended. This bill authorizes Rachel Miller of Best Partners to install, own, and maintain an open-air sidewalk cafe at 4301 Baltimore Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19104 as follows. Encroachment description: a sidewalk cafe along the building line of 4301 Baltimore Avenue from a point approximately 2 feet east of the southeast corner building line of 4301 Baltimore Avenue, extending approximately 25 feet further west and extending approximately 11 feet into the northerly footway of Baltimore Avenue with 11 feet 4 inches clear walkable space remaining, with 2 9-foot 4-inch pinch points. Movable planters/barricades are to be proposed as shown on the approved plans. The Streets Department has no objections to this encroachment. Thank you for your time. This concludes my testimony.
Good morning, Chairman Squilla and members of Streets and Services Committee. I'm Sarah Chu, City Planner with the Philadelphia City Planning Commission. I'm here to testify on Bill number 160148 with amendments, which was introduced by Councilmember Blackwell on February 25th, 2016. Bill number 160148 authorizes an open-air sidewalk cafe at 4301 Baltimore Avenue. A total of 8 tables and 16 chairs will encroach approximately 11 feet onto the north footway of Baltimore Avenue, leaving approximately 11 feet 4 inches for pedestrian walking zone space. The encroachment meets the complete street policy requirement. At its meeting on March 15, 2016, the City Planning Commission recommended Bill number 160148 for approval as an item in accord with previous policy. And this concludes my testimony. I appreciate the opportunity to testify before you today and be pleased to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, anyone else here to testify on Bill number 160148? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Mr. McMonagle, please read the title of the next bill.
Bill number 160112, an ordinance authorizing Dr. Jack Carroll for Magee Rehabilitation Hospital to construct, own, and maintain a liquid oxygen tank and the construction of an associated masonry enclosure at 1513 Ray Street, Philadelphia, PA 19102, all under certain terms and conditions.
Please proceed.
Good morning, Councilman Squilla, and members of the Committee of Streets and Services. My name is Patrick O'Donnell, and I am here to testify on Bill number 160112 as amended, introduced on behalf of Council President Clark. This bill would permit Magee Rehabilitation Hospital to construct and maintain a liquid oxygen tank and an associated masonry enclosure on the south footway of Spring Street. This encroachment will occupy 11 feet on the sidewalk, leaving approximately 6 feet for pedestrians. The city holds the right-of-way, our sidewalks and streets, in trust for the benefit of all Philadelphians. Our rights-of-way are small democratic spaces open to everyone. Our right-of-way are also our rights-of-way are how people travel between work, home, and friends. They are how commerce moves. They are where people go to be heard on the public matters that are most important to them. They are the physical connections between neighborhoods that create the geography we recognize as Philadelphia and as home. For that reason, Council, the Planning Commission and the Streets Department guard the city's rights-of-way jealously. We do not lightly surrender them to encroachments unless the encroachment is consistent with the purpose and the design of the right-of-way and will not interfere with it. There is no question that this proposed encroachment, which will occupy well over half the width of the sidewalk, fundamentally changes the Spring Street right-of-way at that location, and it is of far more substantial character than the usual encroachments routinely reviewed by streets and approved by council. Under any other circumstances, the Streets Department would be constrained to oppose an encroachment of this type. Nevertheless, we recognize that truly unique circumstances exist in this case, and the need outweighs the otherwise overriding interest in protecting the integrity of the right-of-way. Magee Rehabilitation Hospital, a nonprofit medical institution renowned for the physical function it preserves and restores in its patients, has a long withstanding presence on Spring Street. In order to provide its life-restoring rehabilitation services to as many as possible, it has no choice but to expand its oxygen tank capacity. Moreover, it appears that no other location for the new tanks exists on the premises at any price. In other words, Magee provides a unique and essential service to the city. It has no choice but to expand its oxygen tank capacity, and there is no other safe or feasible location to do so. A proposed amendment represents what was just stated. In circumstances as compelling and as narrow as these, the Streets Department will present no opposition to the encroachment. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you this morning.
Good morning, Chairman Squilla and members of Streets Services Committee. I'm Sarah Chu, City Planner with the Philadelphia City Planning Commission. I'm here to testify on Bill number 160112 as amended, which was introduced by Councilmember Greenlee for Council President Clark on February 11th, 2016. The purpose of this action is to allow Magee Rehab Hospital to construct and maintain a liquid oxygen tank and the construction of associated masonry enclosure on the south footway of Spring Street. This encroachment will take about 11 feet on the footway and will leave approximately 6 feet for pedestrian walkway. This action is to allow the hospital to expand the oxygen storage capacity in order to meet increased patients' treatment demands. At its meeting on March 15, 2016, the City Planning Commission recommended Bill number 160112 for approval. This concludes my testimony. I appreciate the opportunity to testify before you today and be pleased to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing none, anyone else here to testify on Bill number 160112? Thank you. Mr. McMonagle, please read the title of the next bill.
Bill number 160169, an ordinance legalizing an existing 6-foot wooden fence at 841 to 43 North Opal Street, Philadelphia, PA 19130, all under certain terms and conditions.
Good morning, Chairman Squilla and members of the Streets and Services Committee. My name is Patrick O'Donnell, and I am the right-of-way manager for the right-of-way unit. I am here to offer testimony on Bill number 160169. This bill legalizes an existing 6-foot wooden fence at 84143 North Opal Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania 19130 as follows. Encroachment description. From a point on North Opal Street at the northern property line, 841 North Opal Street, to a point approximately 24 feet farther south at the southern point line of 843 North Opal Street, and extending approximately 8 feet into the eastern footway of North Opal Street, with 0 foot of passable sidewalk remaining. The total height of the encroachment from the existing sidewalk level to a height not to exceed 6 feet. The Streets Department is unopposed to this ordinance, as this street sidewalk is not well traveled. Thank you for your time. This concludes my testimony. I am pleased to answer any questions you may have.
Good morning, Chairman Squilla and members of Streets and Services Committee. I'm Sarah Chu, City Planner with the Philadelphia City Planning Commission. I'm here to testify on Bill number 160169, which was introduced by Councilmember Greenlee for Council President Clark on March 3rd, 2016. The purpose of this action is to legalize an existing 6 feet tall wooden fence at 841-43 North Opal Street. The fence encroached 8 feet on the east footway of North Oak Powell Street, leaving no pedestrian walkway space. The Planning Commission does not support the practice of use public sidewalk space for private uses. Therefore, at its meeting on March 15, 2016, the Planning Commission recommended Bill number 160169 not for approval. This concludes my testimony. I appreciate the opportunity to testify before you today and be pleased to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing none, is there anyone else here to testify on Bill number 160169? Thank you. Oh, hold on. Please proceed to the table. State your name for your testimony. State your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
My name is Drew Candelas. I'm the owner of 841843 North Opal Street. I did not expect to testify today, but I just wanted to put my opinion on the record. These properties were purchased from the City of Philadelphia approximately 6 years ago. The properties were purchased as part of a redevelopment agreement from the RDA and PHDC. At the time, the encroachment was written into the plans, although it was never legalized. My hope is this common sense ordinance will be passed and allow me to simply use the backyard as it was intended. I have no build clauses attached to both properties, simply maintaining them as open green space and a rear yard for myself and my family. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you. Councilman Greenlee?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any question, but I'm familiar certainly with this area. It's not real far from where I live. Old Powell Street is extremely narrow street. It is. For years, I thought it was just basically an alley. I didn't even realize it was a street. What the gentleman said, and as Mr. O'Donnell said, this is not a heavily traveled street at all. And there was every expectation when the gentleman built this house that he was doing something legally. So I think this ordinance makes sense, which is why the council president put it in, and why I certainly support it as a neighbor. So I think we should move forward with this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other questions? Seeing none, is there anyone else here to testify on Bill number 160169? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. We'll be ending the hearing and starting back in our committee. We're waiting for one member. Thank you so much. Before we start the committee, I'd like to just to mention the quorum I forgot to mention. Councilman Greenlee to my left, to my right, Councilwoman Bass and Councilwoman Blackwell. Thank you so much. We'd like to start the committee. I'd like to recognize Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the adoption of the amendments to bill numbers 160148 and 160112.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Amendment to Bills 160148 and 160112 have been approved. Councilman Greenlee?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the following bills be reported out as committee where favorable recommendation and that the rules of council be suspended to allow for first reading our next session of council. Bill numbers 160147, 160097, 160145, 160146, 160148 as amended, 160112 as amended, and 160169.
Second. Bills have been read and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. All bills passed with the suspension of the rules. We read the first council session. That'll end our committee. Thank you so much for coming.